Good morning. I'm Jane Pauley, and this is Sunday Morning, Memorial Day weekend 2022. Summer is almost here. There are hopes COVID will soon be winding down, and vacation time beckons. We'll, of course, spend part of this morning looking back at another week of unspeakable and seemingly unstoppable gun violence. But we'll also spend time looking forward to summer and its pleasures, including the prospects of visits to our national parks, coast to coast. Just make certain, Conor Knighton reminds us, to plan ahead.
If you're planning on visiting Arches National Park this summer, be sure to bring sunscreen, plenty of water, and your reservation.
Hi, welcome to Arches. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Do you have the timed entry pass?
We do.
For the first time ever, daytime tourists must have a timed ticket just to get in the gate. After years of record-setting crowds, popular parks are insisting that visitors RSVP. Preserved and reserved ahead on Sunday morning.
Last year, 92 million people visited one of our 63 national parks. Given those numbers, let's just say Conor Knighton reports what follows with reservations.
At Arches National Park, Memorial Day weekend is typically the busiest weekend of the year. This is what last year looked like. The park had to shut down the entrance several times to control the crowding.
All of the parking lots would be full. There'd be bumper-to-bumper traffic all along the road, so it just was a terrible experience for everybody involved and not good for the park resources, too.
Caitlin Thomas is the public affairs specialist for Arches, located in southern Utah. Over the past 2 decades, crowds have more than doubled at the park. Last year, it received a record-breaking 1.8 million visitors, which meant a lot of days felt like Memorial Day.
Last year, how many times did you have to close that gate?
Oh gosh, 158 times.
Wow.
So a lot.
And that's for hours at a time, then, right?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
In the nearby town of Moab, reservations for hotels and restaurants are hard to come by. But this year, for the first time ever, the park itself is requiring reservations.
Hi there, how are you? Perfect, do you have your reservation?
From April to October, tourists hoping to access Arches during peak hours need to have a ticket, obtained via recreation.gov.
Thank you so much.
Popular time slots can get booked up months in advance.
So with timed entry, the idea is that we take all of those visitors and we distribute them throughout the day and throughout the season so that we can hopefully mitigate the traffic and also improve those visitor experiences.
Popular parks across the country are trying similar approaches. Rocky Mountain in Colorado is requiring timed entry reservations from now until October 10th. In California, Yosemite requires them until the end of September. At parks like Zion and Shenandoah, certain hikes now have to be scheduled. If you're planning on driving up Acadia's Cadillac Mountain to see the sunrise, or weaving through the mountains on Glacier National Park's famous Going to the Sun Road, you're going to need to book in advance.
For decades, the national parks have done a really good job with wildlife management and landscape management and ecological management. And I think they're just going to have to sort of turn their focus to people management.
Brian Yablonsky is the CEO of the Property and Environment Research Center, which has been studying a number of possible approaches to deal with the record-setting crowds.
If you think about it, 50% of the park visitors are crowding into 6% of our national parks.
Over the past decade, our 63 national parks have received 34% more visitors.
We're in uncharted territory when it comes to visitation. So there's a lot of room for experimentation and creativity.
That could mean creating more shuttle bus systems like the one already in place at Zion National Park. It could mean taking some cues from the theme park world.
Create your best Disney day.
Using technology to show what sites at a park are less crowded. And at some locations, it could mean reservations.
Thank you for having that ready.
While many of the timed entry programs are trial runs for now, they could become permanent.
So I think some of those parks are going to have to do the thing that might not be popular. What we'll lose in that process is spontaneity. I think Americans like to be spontaneous.
Naturalist John Muir wrote, "The mountains are calling and I must go." Not The mountains are calling and I must go at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday because that's the only ticket I could get.
The job of the National Park Service is to protect the land for the people. And it almost seems like the land is being protected from the people.
Moab developer Michael Liss first fell in love with arches on a road trip decades ago.
A spontaneous detour?
Yeah, it's pretty much spontaneous detour.
The idea that a reservation system might prevent others from doing the same doesn't sit right with them.
Those people are, on their spontaneous journey. So, yeah, the fact that you'd arrive here and couldn't get into arches, that's really disappointing to me.
And so far, under the new system, that's happened to 10 to 15% of visitors.
Today you're going to need to turn around. You can come back after 5.
Those tourists can always come back and visit outside of peak hours, or try the night before for one of several next day tickets that are held back. But that might not work for everyone's schedule. Liz thinks more cars could be accommodated.
The infrastructure of Arches National Park was designed in the 1950s. They built the one entrance, one entry road. The parking lots have grown, a little bit over the years, but substantially nothing has changed in 70 years. So when I look at this, it's like, isn't it time to upgrade the park?
Of course, building new entrances and parking lots costs money and takes time. There's already a multi-billion-dollar maintenance backlog in our parks. Plus, the idea of continuing to pave paradise can be a tough sell.
Here in the Park Service, we're in the forever business. We protect these parks for perpetuity, and we want to make sure that we leave them just as they are for future generations.
Thomas and the team at Arches have been encouraging visitors who show up without reservations to check out other beautiful destinations.
Can I recommend a couple of other alternatives in our area?
The story of overcrowded parks is mostly the story of a select group of super popular parks. There are plenty of other underpublicized places where you can still get away from it all. Only time will tell if these timed entry systems will stick around or expand to other sites.
What's the feedback been so far from the visitors?
Oh, fantastic. We have folks saying that this is the best trip to Arches that they've ever had if they've been here before. I think people are seeing that there's an improved experience here, and they're having just better connections with the landscape while they're visiting.
That sense of connection is difficult to quantify. For now, by giving up some spontaneity, visitors have been getting a bit more solitude.